All right, time to get started this evening. It's 5 o'clock. By the way, is this online tonight? It is online? Okay, good. Well, I had some friends who watch a Facebook class that I do on Sunday afternoons, and I told them I thought this was online, but I wasn't sure if it was or not. So I'm glad it's online for them. Good evening, and you'll have my first slide up here in a moment, I guess, or do I put it up? That's the first one? All right, cool. This is the fourth in a four-part series on archaeology in the first Sunday in September, October, November, and December. And I got bumped in October and November for good reasons, and that's no problem at all. But I intended to deal with Jerusalem, one of my favorite cities, and with Caesarea Maritima, another great city, and then finish up with the one city that I've been working in for a long, long time, a city in ruins called Bet Shemesh. So I'm going to stick with my plan and skip over Jerusalem and skip over Caesarea Maritima and finish up strong with Bet Shemesh, which I know a little bit about since I've been excavating there for some 16 seasons. And so that's what we're going to try to do tonight. Tel Bet Shemesh, a beautiful sunrise. We get started on a dig at 4:30 in the morning. It's the only thing I don't like about, well, there's a few other things I don't like about digging, hard work too, but getting up at 4:15 and start with a pickaxe in the ground at 4:30 is not much fun, but that's the way we do it because it gets hot and we need the rest of the day to do some other stuff as well. So this is a beautiful sunrise over Tel Bet Shemesh, which is a border town about 16 miles southwest of Jerusalem, and we're going to be looking at that tonight. It was a fortified city, fortified by the king by the name of Hezekiah, and he fortified several cities, 40 I believe, as Sennacherib was coming down to attack them, and Bet Shemesh was destroyed eventually by Sennacherib in the 8th century BC. So I want to begin by reading, if you've never read Bet Shemesh in the Bible, it's there. Turn your Bibles if you have them. If you don't, I'll read it for you. 1 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1, and I'll read down through verse 12 and then skip around a little bit. This is a story that I find rather amusing. It's a story of the Philistine kings, the Philistine lords, the 5 lords from Ekron and Gaza and Ashdod and Ashkelon, and what's the other one? Forgot it right now, but anyway, 5 cities, and they are talking to their priest and trying to figure out how in the world to get rid of the Ark of the Covenant, which they won in battle. You might recall the story, the Israelites very dumbly tried to use God's Ark as some kind of weapon, and they ran it out in battle and got captured. But God wasn't happy with the Philistines having the Ark of the Covenant, so he brought all kinds of problems on them. And this is a story of them trying to get rid of it. It's kind of funny, I think. The Ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the Ark of the Lord? Tell us with what we shall send it to its place." And they said, "If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it empty, but by all means return him a guilt offering. Then you will be healed, and it will be known to you why his hand does not turn away from you." And they said, verse 4, "What is the guilt offering that shall return to him?" They answered, 5 golden tumors. You know, the Lord struck them with tumors. And I find that funny. And 5 golden mice. And by the way, at Tel Bet Shemesh, we've not found any golden tumors or golden mice. We're still looking, though. I don't think they'll be there. "According to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for the same plague was upon all of you, upon your lords." Verse 5. "So you must make images of your tumors and images of your mice that ravage the land and give glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten his hand from off you and your gods and your land. Why should you harden your hearts?" They knew the story of Egypt. "Why should you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and the Pharaoh hardened their hearts after he had made sport of them? Did not they let the people go, and they departed? Now then, take and prepare a new cart and 2 milch cows," that's milk cows, "upon which they have never come a yoke, And yoke the cows to the cart, but take their calves home away from them. And take the ark of the Lord and place it on the cart, and put it in a box, and put a box alongside with the figures of gold, which you are returning to him as a guilt offering. Then send it off, let it go its way. Verse 9, and watch. If it goes up on the way to its own land, to Bet-Shemesh, then it is he who has done us this great harm. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that struck us. It happened to us by chance. Now skip down to verse 12. And the cows went straight in the direction of Bet-Shemesh along one highway, lowing as they went. They turned neither to the right nor to the left, and the lords of the Philistines went after them as far as the border of Bet-Shemesh. Now the people of Bet-Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and when they saw the ark, they rejoiced to see it. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines saw it, they returned that day to Ekron. Well, this is sunrise over Bet-Shemesh. This is the 7-acre tell of Bet-Shemesh. I've never seen it green. I've never been there in the summertime. I've been there in the summertime, but it's not green. It's all withered away. But this is a beautiful shot of it, probably in March or sometime. You can tell it is a tell. You can see here it's round. The tail moves up. It's a pretty good little climb there. This is the northern slope, and all these are squares that have been started. Now, what I'm going to show you today is what we've done from 2000 up to 2019. Probably what you're looking at here was taken in the 1990s when they started working on this northern slope. This is north this way, and the slope is coming up to the south there. And when it started working in the 1990s, often they'll work a square for a period of time, and then if they kind of run dry, they'll move over somewhere else and see if they can find something else. So we started out at another place I'll show you in a moment, but we eventually moved here. But this is that 7-acre tell. Runs around here. On this side, on the western side, their tombs are out here. They didn't bury their dead in the city anywhere, so the tombs are on this side. This is a modern highway, 38, that runs from Bet Gruvin up here through the Elah Valley, all the way to Highway 1 that goes to Jerusalem. So, again, 16 miles from Jerusalem. I don't think I have any shots. Maybe I do. But to the left over here is a modern city of 100,000 people. Okay? We look right across there. Just a little caveat here. I won't have any pictures of it. But about 3 or 4 years ago, they were going to widen this highway. You can imagine 100,000 people and the little 2-lane highway, and a lot of them commuting into Jerusalem. You had a mess, kind of like 280. And so they were going to build a new highway. And when they started building a new highway, guess what they found right here across the street from us? A whole new city. We thought Bet-Shemesh had been destroyed in the 8th century and never rebuilt. Guess what? They went across the street and rebuilt. It's amazing what's over there. We have nothing to do with that. That's a whole different dig. We concentrate on our little 7 acres. So anyway, that's what the 7-acre tell looks like. This is a shot of it from street level. I'm standing north of the city. I'm looking back to the south, and you can see, my bad. You can see the slope. It's a pretty good little slope going up to the south. I'm standing north of it. This is in what, 2009, 6? I don't know. I can't read that. Anybody read it? 6, 9, somewhere. Anyway, you can see how this is the beautiful Sorek Valley we'll talk about. You can see the hay in the valley here, and this valley runs all the way around and circles around the other side up here. And then it starts this direction, which is west, and it goes about 25 miles over here into the Mediterranean Sea. So we're about 25 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. We're about 16 miles up the mountain, 3,000 feet to Jerusalem. This is where we started working when I first went there in 2000. And so we're on the southern end of the tail. And we dug there for about, actually just 2 years, 2000 and 2001. And then we decided we weren't finding much, so we moved back over to another area that I'll show you in just a moment. But what we did do here is in 2001, we had an Israeli group come in. And our big bosses are Israelis, okay? They're Tel Aviv professors, but they don't like their students. Israeli students are lazy, okay? American, we worked hard. And so they took these Israeli students and put them over to the left of us over here, kind of down in here, and their job was to find the southern gate again. The southern gate had been excavated at one time, but for some reason it was covered back up. But they actually did a pretty good job. But anyway, we worked in this area for a good while. I worked right down here in the corner, a little square we called T48. And when I talk about squares, they're 5 meter by 5 meter, 15 feet by 15 feet squares, okay? And what happens when you dig a square is you dig a square and you create walls, right? Artificial walls. We call them bulk walls. They're very important. You can see what's in the wall. You might see a floor in the wall. You might see a pit in the wall. And if you get 4 or 5 of these squares in a row, then you see things begin to develop on the other side that might fit with this side. I have a shot that'll show you that a little bit later on. But I dug in T48 for the whole month. Dr. Dale Manor, Harding University Professor Emeritus, I saw him at Harding in 2000. He said he had a booth called Imagine Your Life in Ruins. He said, I'll take you to Israel and show you Israel. I said, I've been there twice. He said, you've never seen Israel. He was right. I never had. He showed me Israel, but he also made me work like a dog. And I dug in this square with 6 or 7 other kids for a month, and we found nothing but rocks, okay? But long story short, I don't think I have a picture of it. The next year, in 2001, in that same square, I moved back to another square, T47. In T48, there was a bunch of lazy girls. I'm sorry, ladies. A lot of these girls are lazy. You can't dig on your hind end, okay? You work in my square. I'm a square supervisor. The first thing I do is get you off your hind end. You cannot dig on your hind end. They're sitting there playing around. But lo and behold, they found iron deposits. And what we found in that square eventually was the largest smithy house in all of that part of the country. That's my smithy house, because I dug down 4 feet to get there. Those girls say they discovered it. No, I discovered it. I dug 4 feet. So what I learned from that was what you're doing is never unimportant. You may not be finding anything, but who in the world knows what the next person that goes down another foot is going to find? So it's very important, okay? This is our beloved Shlomo Bunamovitz, passed away about 6 or 8 months ago. One of the sweetest guys in all the world, one of the greatest pottery experts in all of Israel. Died way, way too young. And I've always thought, some of you are old enough to remember this, Welcome Back, Kotter. Remember that show, Welcome Back, Kotter? The guy on there named Horshack. He talks like Horshack. He looks like Horshack. And he's a comedian. He's got a dry wit about him, bless his heart. We sure do miss him. But again, this is also a shot of the beautiful Sorek Valley back in here, running around to the south. This is not a very good picture. I wish it had been clearer, but what we did is we went north of Tel Bet Shemesh. This is Bet Shemesh right down there. You can make the tail out anyway. I'm standing on top of Zorah, the mountain. I'm standing actually at the grave, the traditional grave of Samson. Who knows where he's buried, but they got a shrine, everything to Samson. This is Samson territory. So we're looking down, and again, you get an idea of the beautiful Sorek Valley through here, and on the other side. That road leads up to the next valley, which is Elah. And basically in Israel, you've got valleys that cut east and west. You've got the Elah Valley over by Bet Gravine, that close to Hebron, running north or south of Bet Shemesh. Elah Valley is a wonderful valley. You know, the giants, or the story there of Goliath was killed there. They discovered a beautiful site called Kiapa, which is a 10th century one occupation site. Cute story. We were taking a couple of girls from Harding. I'm sorry, girls, I'm picking on you tonight. This beautiful little girl, she was a blonde, by the way, no offense to you blondes. And Dr. Mander's telling her about Kiapa. Beautiful site, overlooks the valley, looks back to Azekah, and the other side of Azekah is where Gath is, so that's where Goliath would have come from, and we're in this one occupation site. And the little girl looks at Dale and she says, "What did they do?" He said, "No, I'm not talking about one occupation of work. I'm talking about it was only occupied one time." So anyway, kind of went over this little blonde's head, bless her heart. But anyway, my bad. I'll quit picking on you girls now. I'm sorry. Again, another shot standing to the north of the site. You get another idea of the beautiful valley here. This is rough ground where I was, and you can see the valley there. Beautiful tree. That's our tree. You come into our site from the highway right at that beautiful one tree is right there. All right, so this is what I saw the first week or so that I was there in 2000. This is my dig site, if you will. This is T48, and I've got some pretty good workers with me. I've got a boy named Ty Pope from Harding. This little girl here, I forgot her name. She's from Baltimore, Maryland. This is a big old boy. His name Park Lempstrom. He was a missionary up in somewhere in the east. Came back to Harding as visiting professor. I don't know where he is now. He's about 6'7". You talking about a hoot? Go through Hezekiah's tunnel with a guy who's 6'7". Bless his heart. That's a long walk and have to bend over the whole way. Anyway, this is looking due north. So here's our site. This is our square right here. As you can see, we just got started. There ain't nothing dug yet. There's some squares behind us that had been dug before, but nobody's working in them now. We're starting a brand new square right here. You could start another one here if you wanted to. We did not. And then in the background to the north, that is the little mountains of Zorah. Okay? That's where Samson was from. Again, a shot of the Sorek Valley, excuse me. It runs around here and beautiful. Got some wheat out there. Sometimes they have not peanuts, but chickpeas. They grow those out there. And so that's a beautiful shot of the valley. This here is a shot from 2004. I'll get to those later on. We're just showing the valley here right now. And again, the beautiful valley back there. And you got some guys working in 2004 area. Again, a shot of the valley. The valley. Another valley shot. We're just surrounded by the valley. Okay. Now, what I want to talk about for a while is the start of a square. And so this is Park Lindstrom, and this is Ty. And notice we have just got started. We are getting a boundary line going right here. And so this pickaxe will be used quite a bit, along with an inverted hoe. You see how it looks like a hoe, like you hoed cotton with, but it's wider, and they call it a terea. And you always fight to get there early to get a long handle terea. There's nothing worse than working all day with a short handle terea. So I always hide one so I can find it. It's a long handle, okay? Pickaxe is my game, though, so I don't worry about that. Now, why in the world would you use a pickaxe? Well, a pickaxe, when you toss it into the ground, you try to go down about that far and then pull back. If you happen to hit a piece of pottery with a pickaxe, you might just put a hole in it. You hit it with a shovel or one of those tereas, you'll crack it all to pieces. So that's the beauty of a pickaxe. That is the number one thing you use. And what we do, we get a rhythm going. And so I will start here, and I'll pickaxe all the way across 15 feet. And that pickaxe, I'll pull it back. I'll throw it in the ground, pop it up. Throw it in the ground, pop it up, all the way across 15 feet. These two guys will come behind me with the terea, and they will pull it back, be looking for what's in there, looking and looking. And they'll be putting in a bucket. They'll put a bucket between their legs and poof, right in there. And then we have somebody else behind us. This is always the worst job. They fight over it. Carrying buckets, because carrying buckets not much fun, particularly when you get deep. But this is the way you do it. And so we have just got started. We're getting our outline going. You can see our buckets there. The red bucket is for pottery. We will amass a ton of broken potsherds. Sometimes we find complete pieces. Most of the time it's potsherds. And those potsherds are very important. They will tell us what time frame we're in. They'll tell us whether or not it's Israelite with no decoration, or whether it's Canaanite or Philistine with all kinds of different decorations, that type of thing. It'll tell us whether or not it's a cooking pot. A cooking pot has if you see a potsherd, it'll be filled with white-looking stuff because it's made to be a cooking pot. Put it in the ground, and you cook with it. So you can tell what kind of pottery you're looking at sometimes by the grade of the pottery itself, the ceramic. All right, so we're moving along. Right now, this last one we didn't have it, but now we don't have it there. But now we have a line. We draw us a little. You can see our little string, and eventually our little string is going to turn into sandbags. Come on. So now you can see our sandbags developing over here. We're a little bit farther along now in our dig, so we're down about maybe a foot or so with our dig here. This was my boss. Her name is Ifat Tiarina. And she was a PhD student at Tel Aviv University, about 23, 24 years old, and grew up watching MTV. She knew every American song that had ever been written. I would start one, she would finish. I couldn't start a song that she didn't know. She had watched MTV all of her life. She knew every song that was out there, all of them. Sweetest girl, though, and a pretty good student. She's now doing some digging on her own somewhere, got her PhD, and she's doing well. Now, this is about 2 weeks into the dig. So you can see, 2 weeks into the dig, we have our first little shot, and we're taking a picture of rocks. That's all we found, rocks. And by the way, when it's over with, none of these rocks basically do anything except they're just rocks. They're there for some reason. Okay, and then this is near the end of the dig. This is about the 4th week, and what I'm showing you here is this last shot that you saw is running this way. The next shot I'm going to show you is running this way, this little bulk wall here. And we did find some connection right here on this bulk wall. There's some rocks going this way and some rocks going this way, and so we think there'll probably be a connection. Whoop, went the wrong way. See those rocks right there? There may be a connection between those rocks eventually. Same thing here. We do have a pile of rocks, but this time we've got some possibility they may have come together at some point to form a wall. If they did, it's going to be a very ugly wall. And actually, we left there in 2000 and 2001, never been back. So I don't know what that might be someday. As I mentioned this morning in class, some young PhD students someday may finish the work of reporting what we've dug for 29 years, and then they may ask for the license from the IAA, Israeli Antiquities Authority, and they'll start digging. And they may decide to start digging right there, and no telling what they might find. We might have been standing on the most beautiful ancient temple ever was. Who knows? That's the exciting part about archaeology. Have you read in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, where Joshua prayed for the sun to stand still so you end up whooping up some folks? Well, this is what we call our Joshua cloth. We make the sun stand still. Photography is very important in what we do, and the sunlight in the mid-morning, 11 o'clock, is so bright, you need to get rid of it. And so we call for the Joshua cloth, and you'll have volunteers come from other squares and hold the cloth so that Spee can take pictures without the sun messing the pictures up. One of the things that I want to talk about for a moment, I mentioned already, this was a fortified city by Hezekiah. And one of the reasons we know it's a fortified city, I may have mentioned this before, is back in the early 90s, 1992, maybe 1993, I don't recall, our people who come to dig are volunteers, okay? From the time period I've been there, from 2004 to 2019, most of them have been from Canada, from Lethbridge College, but occasionally we'll have a renegade or two come in on their own, and usually those guys and gals are a problem. I had one from Brooklyn one time. I was about ready to throw her under one of those rocks and bury her. So, but anyway, we didn't. She was a pain. But these two guys, a father and his son in the 1990s, they were a real pain. I mean, a pain. And Spee, one of the directors, finally got his fill, and he said, just go over there and dig. Just go over there and dig. Leave us alone. So they did. And guess what they found? They found this water cistern. They found a hole, and they said to Spee, we found a hole. He said, great, you found a hole. Good, leave me alone. They finally said, let us put a camera down in there. They bugged him and bugged him, finally put a camera down in there and found this massive, beautiful water cistern. Up until that point in time, one of the problems at Bet Shemesh was, where did the water come from? There is a stream fairly nearby, but, 700 or 800 people living up there. That'd be a pain to walk a mile every day to get enough water that you need for everything going on. So where did the water come from? Well, this solved the problem. This is a 6400. By the way, this is the entranceway coming down, and this is the water channels. Those water channels, we found a few. They must have been all over the city, and they directed the amount of rainfall, which isn't a lot, but what they get, they preserved, and it ran into that water cistern, which, by the way, was plastered. to help keep the water. Beautiful plaster still on the walls of that water cistern. 6,400 cubic square feet it holds. And so there's a top shot of the entrance. Now look at that building. These are monoliths that weigh 6 or 8 tons. No city, little town the size of Bet Shemesh, maybe 700 or 800 people living there, and probably most of them living out in the valley and just coming into town, for whatever's going on. But it'd be like asking, I've said this many times, asking Hoover to build an interstate between Hoover and Tuscaloosa. Hoover couldn't do that. State of Alabama could. Hezekiah built this cistern, as far as we're concerned. He's a fortified city. This is a kingly city, a priestly city, and so at some point, Hezekiah, some king, built this water cistern. They didn't build it on their own. This is one of the entrance ways. When you get down to the bottom here, this is the entryway you'll come into. And then, who is that guy? A little fatter and a little beardier. But anyway, I'm in one of the channels. You come in, and it's shaped like a cross. No religious to it at all. It's not really a very good cross, but it's kind of a cross-shaped thing. And I'm in one of the side panels of this water cistern. Oops. This is not where I was standing, but if I walked over into the middle of the water cistern, there was a pile of debris built up about this high, and that debris was caused when the water was high. Then people would come in, and this is I'm looking straight up. That's the hole in the top of it. You could come up and drop your ceramic jar down and get your water, okay? And when you did that, some dust, dirt, stuff rolled over, and you built up this eventually. When the water was really low, then you came in down through the steps into that little channel and walked over to the water. But this is the top entrance. I'm looking straight up. Of course, it's closed up now, so nobody will fall in it. And you drop your little jug down and get your water. This is what's called a lamelech jar handle. In the Hebrew, lamelech means belonging to the king. And you can't see it very well, but it's right in there, lamelech. And it doesn't have the vowels, of course. The vowels are, when you add the vowels, L-E-M, whatever it is. It just has the 4 letters, but it's lamelech. And we found about 75 or 80 of those at Bet Shemesh through the years. So again, these are jug handles that were on jugs that were sent to Bet Shemesh belonging to the king. These are supplies fortified, the city, by the king. So that's another good indication this was a fortified city, Bet Shemesh. It's 2004. This is a shot of our dump site. When we fill the buckets up, the buckets are taken up to a wheelbarrow, and 2 people will take a sieve, and they'll pour every 5th bucket into there and sift it, see what you can find. We find beads, we find all kinds of stuff, and then the wheelbarrows are rolled down this hill and dumped over the side there. There's no telling what is in that dump from the last 29 years. I'd just like to go over there and dig through that someday, because it runs down that hill. It's huge. It's like a massive ramp now. I'd like to go over and dig through it. By the way, if you ever follow archaeology, they've been doing that in Jerusalem for several years now, looking at old dig sites and finding some amazing stuff that they missed. All right. Now, again, the beautiful Sorek Valley. This is about 2 or 3 trains go by in the morning. In the afternoon, the Tel Aviv to Bet Shemesh has a station, goes into Jerusalem. This is looking due north. This is a big complex up at Zorah. I forgot what that is, some kind of plant. They have a furniture factory over here. We used to stay in a caboose right here till Svi made them all mad. I love Svi, but Svi, he wasn't as sweet as Slow-Mo, and he'd end up making them mad. We had to move somewhere else. But anyway, another story. This is our lawn service. This is Brother Muhammad, and Muhammad was a Bedouin, but he's kind of a modern Bedouin. He would come from the south up to the north, and he would camp at our site, and we let his sheep run all over our area and eat, get rid of some of the vegetation that we don't really need. So this is Muhammad's place. About every year, I don't think Mom ever got to go down there, did you? Bake bread. She's been several times, but she never was there when his wife would bake bread for our girls. So it was quite a wonderful thing. We couldn't go down there. We couldn't look at his wife. Muhammad wouldn't allow that. But anyway, he had some beautiful little daughters. They worked the sheep. They're on top of our site now working, one of his daughters. Muhammad died and his son took over. And so we have another Muhammad. Nice people, Bedouins. Give you some idea of what we're talking about here. If you can imagine, this is level 7. So we've come down from up here. This is Iron Age 1. Iron Age 2, by the way. All right, so when you're talking about Iron Age 1 and 2, you're talking about from about 1200 down to 586 BC, okay? 1200 to 1000 is Iron Age 1, 1000 to 586 is Iron Age 2. So we identified these areas by pottery and by other things we found. So we have level 3, level 4, level 5, Iron Age 2, level 6, Iron Age 1, level 7, and on down here we got some Bronze Age stuff. The deeper you go, the older it's going to get. Remember, we start out in the 8th century, we come down, we come down, we come down. We found, as I showed you this morning, a scarab that dates at least to 1360. It had the name of Amenhotep III on it. So you start up, it's younger, it's older as you go down. All right, this is a shot from 2004. And what I'm showing you here is we got some tremendous bulk walls here. Look how high that wall is. It's at least 7 feet. That one's probably a little bit higher. From the bottom here up to the top here is probably 10 or 12 feet. We are in serious violation of the IAA regulations, which Slow-Mo and Spee must have known somebody because they never come out and checked us. You're not supposed to let one of those walls get much higher than 6 feet for safety reasons. You'd fall off and break your neck, as my wife almost did one day. Asked me about that after class. She would not want me to repeat it here. But anyway, so this is 2004, and you can see we've got a lot of flat ground here coming back to the north. That's looking due south, and we've opened up a lot of area in here, created some humongous block walls. And some later pictures, keep in mind, those are going to be gone. We're going to take those down. So we have now moved from our little place I first showed you over on the southern end. We are now over in the northern end of the tail, going downhill. We're working uphill. And so these are some squares that had been opened before, and we're opening again. We're working them again. So we're taking them down, okay? So this is Dr. Sean Booble, a soil and bone expert. Don't dare call soil dirt. It ain't dirt, it's soil, okay? I get chewed out every time I say that. But anyway, this is Dr. Sean Booble, some of her crew. She has the total station here. We are shooting with the total station, which gives us the elevations and everything, and also we can do 3D now later on. We couldn't here, but we can later. So this is 2004. Notice again how much air we have back here. So from 2004 until about 2010, we're going to go back some more. We're going to have all this excavated eventually, okay? This is a shot of 2004 again. You can see Spee standing here. That's old Spee. And here you can see we're pretty deep, 8 or 10 feet maybe. This is a truck they brought in to take photographs with. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Really a crazy thing to do. Again, 2004, keep that in mind. Keep that image in your mind. Sean is standing right there. She can almost reach up and touch the top of that. When we get on down the line, she won't be able to do that. Keep that in mind as we go along. Here's the idiocy of what he did. He drove that truck right up to the edge and got in that thing and went up there. That truck has to weigh a lot of weight. How in the world it kept from not caving in and dipping over, I don't know. I wouldn't have got up there for nothing in the world. We used to have an old ladder, which we finally went back to, and that was dangerous enough. There's old Steve up in the bird nest there taking some photographs looking down. That's Dr. Downing from Louisiana College. Good guy. All right. Now, again, this is 2006. Looks a little different from 2004, doesn't it? 2004, 2006. Look here at 2006. This bulk wall, big one, is basically gone. And what we have done here is that bulk wall I showed you a minute ago, it looks like that with dirt. Okay, we created that. But once you took down the bulk wall, then you find real walls. These are real walls. These are rock walls. And that's what I call architecture. I mentioned this morning we have the most architecture above ground in the 10th century in all of Israel. So you find rock walls underneath that bulk you created, then you've got architecture. This is 2006, okay? Again, 2006. Now I want you to look at that rock over there. This is called a large monolith. Where'd my thing go? Left me? There it is. See that large monolith? This is 2006 picture, but I want you to keep that in mind when I get to 2008, because it's done falling down, and we're going to take this thing away. Notice we're getting deeper. Right here, we're going down deeper. 2007, I drew a little thing there. Let's see. Let me back up one. No, that's not it. Okay, 2007, you can see over here we're getting a little deeper. The bulk walls are coming down, and I drew that for a reason. Let's see what I drew it for. Yeah, it's basically gone now. You see the difference? Now you see it. Now you don't. It's going down, okay? And where she was over in that corner, you see all those rocks over in that corner right there? Now they're gone. And we're going deeper. She cannot stand over there and hand that thing out now. We're down 12, 13 feet now. We're still, what, at 2006, I think? And so come to 2008. Now look at that corner. We are way down. We've discovered some rocks in here. What they are, I don't know. And this bulk wall is brought down significantly. In 2008, this fellow standing right here is named Colin Spurley from outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And he makes a find that is unbelievable right in here. In here, he's going to find a mud brick building that has fallen from above. And we think it was probably the palace of the queen I was talking about earlier, Nanner-Makmush. And we found mud bricks just out of this world in here. I think I have some pictures of them. Colin was a great worker. He was a tall, lanky dude who could squat down and sit there all day. I can squat down there and stay about 30 seconds. Now I couldn't squat down now, but I could squat down for maybe 30 seconds back then. He squat down all day and work in these bricks. So he was a great worker. Here we go. Look at that. That's what he excavated. Mud brick, mud brick, mud brick, mud brick, mud brick. And all in those mud bricks, there is a ton of pottery. You would not believe the pottery that came out of there. Full pieces that were put back together, broken, a lot of them broken, but put back together. A ton of pottery in that little section right there. 2008. There it is, cleaned up. All the mud bricks are out, and all the pottery is out. Steve is taking some photographs, and there they are. I have one. I brought it, I think, the first time I did this class. I may bring it back sometime if you'd like to stick your fingers in it. I have a piece of mud brick about that big. It has the finger marks in it. This is what I like about archaeology. I can stick my finger in there, and I have my fingers in a place where a guy made a mark 3,000 years ago. Why did he make that mark? Maybe he was counting the 50th brick. We don't know. But they made marks in the bricks, and sometimes they made marks on the end of the pottery handle. They'd put a thumbprint. Maybe that's, he said, well, I've got 50 done. Now I'll start again. When I get to 50 more, I'll thumbprint again. Maybe that's what they were doing. That's pretty chilling to put your finger in there. So we took them all out and laid them out in a line. I don't remember the exact count. A bunch of them, though. Nice mud brick house. A lot of it was burnt mud brick, which indicates, a destruction. Somebody came in, they fought, burned it, that type of stuff. Oh, there it is. That's a picture of it. Got your finger in something that's 3,000 years old or better. All right, that's 2006. Remember 2008, a moment ago, I showed you that thing laying up there, and now it's falling over. Now look how much deeper we are. Now up here, somebody started digging up here, the Israelis. Like I say, when the Israelis came in, students, he didn't want them with us, so he put them up there out of the way. And what you can't see is there is a section between them. Right here, a large section. They're back probably 20 or 30 feet. So there's a section in between here, I'll show you in just a moment, that we're going to start digging in 2010, okay? But 2008, this monolith has fallen over. A monolith's a big single stone where they use for maybe for the roof of a house or holding up the roof of a house, that type of thing. This is, I circle that right there. That is a monolith stone that's in the ground. It's stuck in the ground. This morning I mentioned that when you talk about archaeology, you don't say, well, I'm going to Israel and I'm going to find this and this and this. Well, you can't do that. You don't know. You may suspect something's down there. And this is where they started. In 1990, when Shlomo and Svi were walking this flat top of this site, they saw this monolith sticking up out of the ground. And it's been there ever since. That's why they started digging there. Nobody touches that. You can sit on it. It's well in the ground. It'll tell you how deep it is. I took about 3 or 4 out of it in that same area. I took them out of the ground and we laid them over and jackhammered them. So that one's in the ground pretty good. That's the reason they started digging here in 1990. That monolith caught their attention when they walked the site. Again, 2008, you can see we're getting rid of the box. We're going down. All right, 2010. All right, from 2004, when we moved over there, to 2010, that's where we dug in that lower part. Now, in 2010, we moved up to the top part, okay? And so on the first day in 2010, which, by the way, I wasn't there. I didn't come until 2 weeks later, but I got these photographs. This is a flat ground between, right there, if you went over there and jumped off, you'd fall down 12 feet, okay? That's what we've been looking at, that area there. That's a good friend of mine. He's over in Germany now, Pi Ashkenaza. He got a PhD while he's working with us. But here's the one they were digging, the Israeli students. But we're going to start digging here. You can see they've already laid the sandbags out. This is square E, square D, square C, B, and A. Again, a nice shot of that. The Israeli students were digging over here. When we looked from the north to the south and saw them over there, you walk right over here and jump off, you got a 12-foot drop. This is where we're digging. Right there is the monolith. Right there. That's Shlomo's monolith. Pretty good drop, huh? We did all that 2004 to 2010. We went down that far. They used to tie a rope to me, and I would hang over this when we got down a ways. When we got down to here, we took all this down. By the way, by 2019, all of this is down here. We're at level again. That was our goal, to go from 2010, bring it down to the level down here, and we did that. And I would hang over with a tie rope to me, and I'd hang over here and jackhammer these rocks out. Kind of crazy, but a little younger then. Not much crazier, but younger. All right, so this is 2013. I skipped ahead 3 years, so look what we've done in 3 years. We started up here. That's the shot I showed you a moment ago. We came down a little ways in this square and then stopped. The reason we stopped, there was absolutely nothing in there. I mean nothing. No potsherds, no nothing. And what we really think happened is when Bet Shemesh was destroyed by Sennacherib, the Philistines, who didn't like them very much anyway, came over and filled up the water cistern. The water cistern had to be excavated. It was filled up with debris and junk. And we think they dug the debris out of this hole and threw it over there. So there's nothing there. But anyway, notice that we started down. We're a pretty good ways here, 2013. By 2019, we're going to be all the way down here. 2013 again, we're looking across the site from the west to the east. There's my mama standing right there, I think. There's Shlomo's thing. 13 again, we're looking here. 2012, I mentioned this morning, I think, the first stone right in here. This is the Canaanite Temple. This is the northern wall. This is the eastern wall. The western wall comes on around here, and then it comes in here, or the eastern wall, southern wall, western wall. This is what we hope to dig if we go back next year. There's 3 large stones there, and there's the high place where the priest would have probably stood. But notice, this is the balk line, and from 2010, we're coming down. Again, 2017, we're still going down. 2017, I said this morning, Often you ask, well, what are you looking for? What do you expect to find? And you're doing really good, and you think you're finding good stuff, and all of a sudden something pops up that shouldn't be there. What in the world is this water channel doing coming out of the western or the northern wall of this temple? We found a beautiful water channel. You can see it more clearly in a better picture, but see all those rocks, water channel? It's big enough for a girl to lie down in. I thought I had her picture, Rachel, and it comes right out of this wall. So one of the things you got to do, if we had more time, somebody will deal with it someday, is what in the world is that water channel doing there? Again, 2017, just looking across. 2019, this last year we were there. You can see that we are way, way down. We got almost all of it down to the level 2004. 2019, this was my job over here to take this area down. I started on ground level there. This is where we finished. We found the western wall right here. And the picture I showed you this morning, that's the rock where the girl is standing. And the lady just below me there found the flat figurine and a lot of other stuff over there as well. There it is right there. The picture I showed you this morning, flat figurine, she found it right there. And we're standing up here trying to get rid of that olive press, and he wouldn't let us move. And again, here's the temple area we hope to excavate. That rock there was where they slaughtered the animals. They had the beautiful pottery there. The third one, I don't know what they did with, and there's the high place. This is the northern wall. This is the western wall that we exposed. This is the bones. Time's about up, so I'll just do a couple more and we'll go on. Here's the horse that we found. It ended up being a donkey. I found one of those one day. Matter of fact, I was digging in an area where I could stand up, and I had a little pickaxe, what do you call it, Mother? I forgot now. I went crazy. Patiche. Had my little patiche, little pickaxe. I'm digging, and Dr. William Deaver was standing up there with Dale Manor, and I popped this thing up. And he said, "Good job, young man." I said, "Wow, William Deaver told me that." Doesn't mean a word to you, but William Deaver is probably the premier archaeologist in the world in a lot of circles. Great guy. Anyway, I found that little zoomorphic head. It probably was on the end of a picture, pitcher where you pour water or wine or whatever. Zoomorphic cow head, bull head. Again, a picture of what we looked at this morning. I mentioned this morning, these are the two Minoan cups from Knossos on the island of Crete. These are the only two in existence in the world, and we have them at Bet Shemesh. What are they doing there? The border town. A lot of folks came through here. They don't even have these at Crete. They would love to have them, but we ain't going to give them to them. Doesn't sound very Christian, does it? There's the four amigos. That's me, a little fatter beard. Dale Manor, Dr. Dale Manor. There is Ferris Austin, used to be the dean of students at Faulkner University, retired recently. He is the best bucket man in all of Israel. When Ferris comes to Israel, he weighs 270 pounds. When he leaves a month later, he weighs 235 pounds. The guy carries 2 buckets at a time in each hand, and he is magnificent. And then the other fellow there is Dr. Frank Wheeler, dean of the Bible, head of the Bible department at York College, York, Nebraska. Best thing in the world to do with a wheelbarrow for me. Yep, boy, a little fatter there. Get that off quick. This doing remembrance of me. I don't think that's my slide. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? It's 5:49. I doubt if you do, but if you do, I entertain them. Yes, ma'am. I don't hear well, so I'm going to walk over.